I first met Stewart some 42 years ago when I was dating his daughter. I found him to be a reserved man, very quiet, little conversation. The thing I noticed was that he was a tall man, a fit man with very large hands. To begin this story, we must go back further, back to 1930, when Stewart was born. To help me with that, I had a phone conversation with his sister, Miriam. So this is what she has to say.
Stewart James Schofield, born the 25th of 12th, 1930, early life. Stewart was 5 years older than myself. We lived on a small dairy farm in Orange Orchard. We lived in a large timber house which was built by our grandfather Schofield. Mum and Dad had a T-model Ford car and we lived 9 miles out of Wyong. Stewart and I attended Wanda Public School across the road, 1st class to 6th class in one big room. Stewart then attended Wyong High School. He and Albert used to ride 9 miles to Wyong. On the way home, Albert and Stewart would race. As I walked home from Wyong Creek School, he would pick me up and double me on the back of the bike. He would always say, "Don't you dawdle." At school, he would skip woodwork class and go down to the motor workshop and watch the men work. He was always interested in mechanics. He just loved working on engines. Dad and Stewart set up a small sawmill to cut case lids and palings for fencing as an extra income. Whenever we had a big flood, we were locked in for a week. On one occasion, we ran out of bread. The rain would not stop, so Stewart had to climb around the hills for 6 miles to Yarramalong and bring back the bread. In 1953, Mum and Dad sold half the farm and moved to Wyong on the river. Stewart had taught me to drive. I had my driver's licence, so Stewart drove Lit's truck and I had to follow him. It just seems like he's still there. He was always there. That's it. Bye-bye.
This isn't the end of Stewart's story. Just up the road was their neighbour, the Collies. Stewart would deliver firewood, and that's when he met Norma in 1953. And most Saturdays would go to the Astra Picture Theatre in Wyong with Stewart's parents. Early 1958, they got engaged, and 6 months later, on the 11th of October, they got married at Wyong Anglican Church. It was a couple of years later, Debbie was born on the 21st of April 1960. And 3 years later, Mark was born on the 24th of February 1963. Stewart usually took the family out for a Sunday drive. They would go to places like the Entrance, going on the merry-go-round, McMaster's Beach or Terrigal, looking at the beaches. He just liked driving around the coast. He bought Debbie a horse. She called her Beauty, and a couple of years later bought Mark a motorbike. He still loves motorbikes. He also loved taking the family to the Royal Easter Show from dawn to dusk. Deb's memory is sit and watch the livestock parades and fruit and veg displays. Stewart didn't have much time for fun, as he would work the farm and milk the cows before riding his push bike to Wyong High School. That's about 11 kilometres. Try doing that every day, rain, hail or shine. After his parents sold the dairy side of the farm and moving to Wyong, he got a job moving houses with the Silver Dollar House Removal business. He did that for 10 years. Then on the 1st of April 1963, April Fool's Day that is, he started work for Wyong Shire Council, doing drainage jobs, driving trucks, graders, front-end loaders and tree lopping of course. He loved working there and had some fantastic workmates. Upon retiring in September 1998, He's always loved trees, cutting them down, that is. On weekends, Stewart would get extra work doing tree lopping with his mate, Percy Knight, taking Norm and the kids along for that extra help. And he was good at it. Sometimes he even tied 2 long ladders together to reach the highest trees and hang out the top like a koala. Stewart found a love for cruising. He had several trips away on the Fairstar, where he could relax and just watch the world go by. We all went on a South Pacific cruise in 2013 aboard Holland America's Oosterdam. Also, in 2016, Mark and Pauline took them on a cruise around New Zealand on the Diamond Princess. He also enjoyed bus trips around Australia, Tasmania, and Debbie and I went on a trip with them around New Zealand. In 1983, Stewart's first grandchild, Lisa, was born. Followed in 85 by Shane. Sean came along in 1989, followed by Nicole in 91, and little Rach in 94. Then later on, the great-grandchildren soon arrived. Nicole and Adam Draper have 3 daughters. The firstborn was Elizabeth in 2011, then Abby came along in 2014, followed by Charlotte in 2016. Then Shane and Katie Roy had a daughter, Callie, born in 2018. Lisa and Jamie Lee then had a daughter, River, in 2019, who sadly passed away. May she rest in peace. He looked after old farm machinery, such as the old Ford Blitz truck that he had from the age of 17 right to recent times. He had an old bulldozer, a strange looking one at that, on the Yarramalong property. He still has an old grey and red Massey Ferguson tractor. Even in his later life, he still maintained and used them on the farm, slashing the paddock and ploughing the fields. He would start that old Howard rotary hoe with a big puff of smoke. It must have been as old as Stewart. And of course, his collection of chainsaws, including an old one that was that big it had a handle on the other end for 2 people to operate. In 1985, I made a log splitter. Stewart loved it and is still used today. The week before Stewart passed away, he was still working the farm. He had just ploughed the garden, spring wasn't far away, and he needed to get the seeds in the ground soon. He loved to soak up the sun's rays, sitting on the old bench by the stairs, cup of tea in hand and a biscuit. He would sit for hours in an old chair near the tractor, just gathering his thoughts. We'll all sadly miss you. You'll always be in our thoughts and in our hearts. Rest in peace.